to Mets Baseball 85, brought to you by Bud Light, the light beer with the first name in taste. By Manufacturers Hanover, we realize your potential. By Nissan, who invite you to test drive the sizzling 300ZX Turbo, one of the world's great sports cars. The 300ZX, it is awesome. By Metropolitan Life and affiliated companies. Get Met, it pays. And by the Bell Atlantic Yellow Pages. Live from Shea Stadium in New York, it's Mets Baseball 85, as today the Mets take on the Chicago Cubs. And pitching for the Cubs, it's left-hander Ray Fontenot, 1-2 with an ERA of 3.18. On the mound for the Mets, left-hander Sid Fernandez, 1-4 with an ERA of 2.42.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm Ralph Kiner along with Tim McCarver and Steve Zabriskie, set for the final game of this four-game set. Beautiful day for baseball today. The temperature right around 80 degrees. A good crowd in hand as we have had in the first three ball games of this season, of this series. And the Mets against the Cubs, and they'll have Sid Fernandez on the mound trying to extend the Mets winning streak. They have won 3 in a row. The Cubs have won no games in their last 8 ball games. They are 0-8. So here for good baseball, and Tim McCarver, the Cubs really hurt him.
They really are, and they have Ray Fontenot, who is 1-2 with the 3.18 going for him today. But pitching hasn't been the Cubs' problem. The Mets have scored 8 runs in the last 3 games, a 2-0, 1-0 shutout, and then a 5-1 victory behind Ed Lynch's complete game on Tuesday night. And they have just really throttled the Cubs' attack. As a matter of fact, the Cubs have scored only 3 runs in their last 45 innings. So I would say, regardless of who they run out there today, pitching is not as important as hitting.
And Jim Fry really sweating this one out as the Cubs have extended their losing streak to a point where they have not lost as many games in 3 years. Now let's go down to Steve Zabriskie.
Thanks, Ralph, and hi, everybody. Ron Reynolds, the Mets' backup catcher, will be starting behind the plate today against the Cubs. It's only his 4th start of the year, and that's understandable when a club has a frontliner like Gary Carter in there almost every day. Carter will be at first base. And like any player who does not play very often, Ron Reynolds has had to develop his own way of dealing with the situation.
Well, when you're in a situation like I am, I have to do a lot of running, and I have to keep myself mentally ready and do a lot of extra swinging, in the cage and so forth. I do my running with the pitchers, in fact, before the game. I think I'm the slowest pitcher out there. But, it's a lot of fun. I feel like I'm part of the team, and, there's a good bunch of guys here. And I'm not disappointed in any way. I'm just glad to be able to help any chance I get.
What kind of a help has Gary Carter been to you personally, being able to play with him and behind him?
Well, the main help he is just watching him play, I think. He's proficient defensively and offensively both. He calls a good game. And, he's just a good guy to look up to and to be behind.
And I'm sure there are a lot of other players on the Mets club who would echo those same sentiments. Now let's go back up to the booth to Ralph and Tim.
Okay, and the Mets have taken the field. Mets looking for a 4-game sweep of the Cubs. And Sid Fernandez will be trying to pick up that win. The Mets have changed their defensive alignment. Gary Carter being rested, not catching, but playing at first base. Playing second base, Kelvin Chapman against the left-hand pitcher. At shortstop, Rafael Santana. And at third base, Ray Knight. In the left field sector, George Foster. Out in center field, it is Mookie Wilson. And playing right field, John Christensen. Catcher, Ron Reynolds. And Sid Fernandez on the mound for the Mets. Sid with a record of 1-4, an earned run average of 2.42. He has walked 25, struck out 44 in 45 innings. He has given up only 29 hits, a fine ratio right there. Sid Fernandez and his lifetime record against the Cubs, no wins and 1 loss.
And he's pitched very well, and he'll try to continue as he faces Davey Lopes playing left field, Ryan Sandberg, the second baseman, batting second. Keith Moreland, always a tough out, will bat third. Third baseman Ron Say, the power hitter in the Cubs lineup, as he leads in home runs with 12. Leon Durham, a tough out also, the first baseman. Then you get to Chris Spire, the shortstop, batting 6th. Steve Lake, the catcher, batting 7th. Darren Jackson, the center fielder, batting 8th. And Ray Fontenot, the pitcher, batting 9th. And the rash of injuries continue for the Chicago Cubs. Brian Diet will undergo ankle surgery, Ralph. Steve Trout went back to Chicago after a start a couple of nights ago. If you'll remember, he missed 3 starts earlier in the year. And to compensate for that, Gary Matthews has been activated today. He's not starting, but is available for pinch hit duties.
Jim Price said that he probably wouldn't be a starter for a couple more days, but Matthews certainly a big part of that Cub team in 1984 when they won the National League East. So it's Davey Lopes playing left field, hitting .302, 5 home runs, 23 RBIs to lead off. And the first pitch of the game. Fastball, it's ball, it's a strike call. Joe West, Cowboy Joe West, behind home plate. Fernandez last year with the Mets won 6 and lost 6. Tries the curveball, it slips out of his hand, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Sid came into this game with an earned run average of 2.42. The Mets team average 3.39. And again the fastball, so the count 2 balls and 1 strike. You don't want to put Lopes on, he can fly. And there's the crowd right there. Another big one here at Shea. The Mets will break their all-time record for 4 games in attendance here in the day's ball game. And that ball fouled off, so they counted 2 balls and 2 strikes. And as Tim pointed out, the Mets will go over the 1 million mark for the first time. And this is the earliest they've ever gone over the million mark.
Ball hits Joe West in the right shoulder, but it's padded well. Joe's all right.
2-2 the count. And now it goes to 3-2.
See, Sid early right now is leading with his elbow, and that's why he's wild up and away. When he has wildness problems, it's more often than not wild up and away to right-handers.
His last game, he did not walk a batter, something he has never done as a Met, and he walks his first man. So Fernandez walking Davey Lopes. Lopes, an outstanding base stealer. He has a lifetime percentage of 83 stolen bases, 83% of the time successful. And he is a threat to run. And it brings up Ryne Sandberg. Sandberg 3 for 13 in this series, hitting .249 for the year with 7 home runs, 14 RBIs. Sandberg, the MVP for the Cubs in the National League last year. Lopes with a good-sized lead at first. Fernandez does not have a good move to first. Cubs have scored 3 runs in their last 45 innings. And the fastball is high. So Fernandez running into problems right off the start of this ball game, and Carter from first base in to talk to him.
Gary Carter probably reminding Sid the same things that they talk about when Gary Carter's behind the plate. And that's no doubt to try to keep the elbow trailing. When you lead with the elbow, and you can practice it at home, what happens is a hand drags and you have a tendency to push the ball, thereby being up and away to righties.
And the runner goes, and no contest. Davey Lopes with a stolen base. He has been successful now 61 times in his last 67 attempts.
That is stolen base number 508 for Davey Lopes. Make that 507. Man, that was no chance. Even if the throw's down, Ron Reynolds had no chance. You see the ball's not even there when Davey Lopes hit the bag.
That is his 24th stolen base this year and 26 attempts. Over a period of 3 years, he had been successful 33 times out of 33 ending this year. And the curveball in there, a called strike. 1-2 the count. Lopes holds the record for consecutive stolen bases of 38.
He did that back in 1975 while a member of that Dodger team in Dodger infield.
On deck batter, Keith Moreland. Count of 1-2 to Ryne Sandberg. And he fouls off the fastball. Sandberg last year batted .314 with 19 home runs, 84 runs batted in, and the MVP. Sunday will mark the anniversary of a game that Sandberg had against Bruce Sutter of the Cardinals that time. He hit 2 home runs off Sutter, one in the 9th to tie it, and I believe in the 12th to win it.
After that game, Whitey Herzog, the manager of the Cardinals, called him the greatest player he had ever seen. That's a high compliment.
Whitey's the man to get exuberant. The runner goes. The ball hit to the shortstop. No play at third base. A throw over to first base by Santana in time, and Sandberg is out. So now a runner at third with 1 away as you look at Lopes and Don Zimmer, the third base coach.
That was an interesting play, and the Cubs had only 1 stolen base in their last 5 ball games coming into this game, and Davey Lopes trying to break that little streak as he tries to steal third base. But fortunately, Sandberg grounds out to shortstop.
And you're right, fortunately. He had third base stolen.
Locked.
So now 1 away, and Keith Moreland, the batter. Keith leads the club in base hits with 64, hitting .299 for the year. He's had 4 home runs, and he also leads in RBIs with 35. Leads the club in RBIs. Fastball foul, tipped into the glove.
It's almost as though Keith Moreland tries to work himself in the hole. He's one of the best 2-strike hitters I have ever seen, and certainly one of the top 2 or 3 in the National League.
In this series, Moreland 3 for 5. He did not start in yesterday's ball game, but did come up as a pinch hitter and had a base hit in the 9th inning. Fastball foul off again. This one off the mask of Reynolds, and it's strike 2. Well, he's got it where he wants it. 2 strike count.
Well, you saw the foul tip earlier off Joe West's chest protector, and now this twister. Boy, do those hurt. That mask keeps going around your head.
Moreland, hitter that likes the ball away, but with 2 strikes you have to come in on him because he'll now hit the right field.
And you also have to play him shallow in right field because he doesn't hit the right with any kind of power when he has 2 strikes.
Just tries to get the bat in the ball.
Yeah, John Christensen way too deep in right.
Struck him out and got him with a fastball. So Sid Fernandez, a big strikeout at this point.
Well, if you're trying to go to right field, you don't like the ball in tight. And that is a good quality fastball from Sid Fernandez. Off the plate, high and tight. Moreland couldn't handle it. It tied him up. And a big strikeout there.
He is a tough man to strike out with runners in scoring position. And now with 2 men out, runner still at third. The batter will be Ron Say, batting cleanup. Say hitting only .218, but he leads the club in home runs with 12, and he's driven in 27. Curveball, a strike call. Say 0 for 4 in this series. Jim Fry, the manager of the Cubs, bemoaning the fact that the Cubs have been unable to get men in from third with no one out or 1 out. Now they'll have to do it with 2 men out. And the curve again. Strike 2. So Fernandez, after going fastball, fastball, fastball to Moreland, comes in curveball, curveball to Say. On deck batter Leon Durham. Fastball fouled back out of play. A good pitch there, high and tight.
Ron Say was watching when Sid Fernandez came up and in to Keith Moreland with the count 0-2, and he was ready for that heater. Very important to watch when you're on deck and see what kind of rhythm the pitcher is pitching.
And the sequence of pitches. There's the 2-strike pitch, back to the curveball, and the count 1-2.
Of course, Sid Fernandez, no stranger to Ron Say. Ron Say remembers Sid in spring training when they were both members of the Dodger organization.
And the curveball, strike 3. Sid Fernandez with a runner at third base and 1 out, striking out the next 2 batters and getting out of the jam. 1 left on the walk, stolen base and ground ball. 1 left at third, and the Cubs nothing, the Mets coming up. Now here's a word from Bud Light. We're going now to the bottom of the first inning. Defensively, Leon Durham at first base for the Cubs. Ryan Sandberg will be at second base. The shortstop, Chris Spire. And at third base, Ron Say. The veteran Davey Lopes in left field. Darren Jackson playing center field. And Keith Moreland in right field. Catcher is Steve Blake. And on the mound, Ray Fontenot, making his first appearance ever against the Mets. He has a record of 1-2, an earned run average at 3.18. Walked only 13, struck out 19, gave up 39 hits and 45 innings of work. Ray Fontenot.
And the ex-Yankee will be facing Mookie Wilson leading off and playing center. Second baseman Kelvin Chapman batting second. Third baseman Ray Knight will hit third, and Gary Carter at first batting fourth. George Foster back in the lineup and playing left. Right fielder John Christensen will bat sixth. Ron Reynolds behind the plate batting seventh. Rafael Santana, who's been swinging the bat very well lately, he'll hit eighth, and Sid Fernandez batting ninth.
Fontenot with the Yankees last year, won 8 and lost 9. And the left-hander pitching to Mookie Wilson, batting from the right-hand side. Mookie hitting .254 for the year. 1 home run, 12 RBIs, and that is strike one. Mookie in this series 2 for 3. One ball, one strike.
Ray Fontenot will throw the sinker away as we look at Davy Johnson. Got a little slider, but when he's in a jam, he goes with that sinker. He does unusually work right-handers inside.
And a fastball missed. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Most of the time, a sinker ball pitcher, if you're a hitter, you can look for the ball away, because when the ball is thrown inside, it has a tendency to straighten out. But Fontenot loves to come inside to right-handers.
Mookie hitting .271 as a right-hand batter, and he fouls this one into the stands. Batting left-handed, Mookie hitting .242, composite average at .254. On deck batter for the Mets, Kelvin Chapman. Fontenot, lifetime 17 wins, 13 losses, and he almost hits Mookie with a slider.
Look for it inside, but not that far inside.
Made him dance.
That ball looked like it went through Mookie's leg. All right, Mookie working on his samba.
And a drive to right field for a base hit. So Mookie, on a 2-2 count, gets the first hit of the ball game. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the New York Mets and WRTV and is intended solely for the private non-commercial use of our audiences. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the New York Mets and WRTV is prohibited. So Mookie on at first base, no one out, bottom of the first inning, and Kelvin Chapman the batter. Chapman hitting .173. No home runs, 5 RBIs. He squares into bunting position, takes for ball 1. Chapman is not up there to sacrifice.
I think that was a decoy. I agree with you. A lot of times when you square around the first pitch and the pitch is a ball, you give the pitcher, you lull him into a sense of complacency. Then they come back with a fastball and you put the hit and run on. Good time for it.
Throw to first base and Mookie back. Mookie leads the club in stolen bases with 17 out of 22 attempts. Mets have really had trouble stealing bases lately. They were up in the 80s in success, now down. There goes Mookie, the throw high, and the tag is made, and Mookie is out. Well, not a good play by Steve Blake, or good throw, but he has a great arm, and he has thrown out every Met that's attempted to steal in this series.
He gets rid of it so rapidly. I mean, see how fast that ball was down there? Very, very close play. Doug Harvey, the second base umpire, calling Mookie out. Might wonder, had Mookie gone in there straight instead of hook sliding, if he'd have been safe or not. You get there faster when you go straight in.
And the 1-1 pitch is low for ball 2. 2 balls and a strike.
Ralph, I played with Lou Brock for about 12 years, and I never saw him hook slide on a steal. All he did was
straight.
That's right.
Fastest way to get in there. And that one fouled off, so they count 2 balls and 2 strikes. In an interview with Lou Brock, he said something very interesting. He said that a head-first slide is not necessarily a faster slide than a feet-first slide.
That was an interview in that doubleheader against the Cardinals between games. Very interesting interview.
And the count goes to 3-2 on Chapman. Chapman 1 for 1 in this series. As a pinch hitter, he was 1 for 1. 3-2 pitch, struck him out. So Fontenot gets his first strikeout on the pitch that Tim was talking about. Low inside fastball right down there out of the strike zone, as a matter of fact.
Actually, Fontenot has two types of fastballs. He will sink the ball away to right-handers, and then he'll come inside, and that was that inside riding fastball that rode down and in to Kelvin Chapman.
Now Ray Knight, the batter. Ray playing at third base, batting in the third position in the batting order as Keith Hernandez is being rested. Knight hitting .151, 3 home runs, 11 runs batted in. Slider catches the outside corner, a called strike. Fontenot making his 5th game start. This is his 18th appearance. And it's hit hard to left and a fair ball. Ray Knight breaking his bat in the hit, and he'll go in with a stand-up double. Ray Knight showing some signs of coming out of that prolonged batting slump.
And that bat, you see it trailing down toward Ron Say. Rather disconcerting if you're a third baseman. You don't know whether to pick the ball up or the bat. But Ray Knight picks up his 5th double of the year. Watch that bat head just fly out of there. You'll trade a bat for a hit any day of the week.
Like to do it 1,000 times.
They can make more bats, but hits are hard to come by.
Can't make hits. Got to earn those.
Right.
Now runner in scoring position, and Gary Carter the batter. And has he been hot? In this series, 5 for 12, batting .417. Overall, he's now hitting at .271. Carter's hit in 9 of his last 10 ball games, batting well over .400.
Pitch to him here with first base open. Way he's been swinging the bat.
No way.
I don't.
No way. Even though it's the first inning.
That's right.
And it's down low for ball 1. You might see intentional right here.
Carter has lifted his average from .231 to .271. Jimmy Fry chomping on that gum. Man, he gives that gum a beating, doesn't he?
Talking to him before the ball game, his voice was hoarse from yelling at the home plate umpire last night, Frank Pulley. 1-1 the count. Knight, the runner at second base, 2 men out. We're in the bottom half of the first in the conference now. Might have been a sign from the bench to put him on.
Either that or Jimmy Fry giving a sign to Steve Lake saying, wait a minute, that last pitch was a little too fat, even though Carter didn't swing at it. A lot of times, Ralph, and I'm sure you experience this with first base open, you'll take the posture of the opposing manager and won't look for a strike, and if they throw one down Broadway, it surprises you.
Jump a foot.
Yeah.
Carter has had 17 hits in his last 10 games, 3 of them home runs. He's driven in 7 runs, scored 8, and he's had 2 game-winning RBIs. 1-1 pitch, and it's in the dirt. No chance at all there, and it's 2 balls and a strike. Tough position to hit right now because they're not going to give in to it. You're anxious to get the RBI and put the Mets up, but you can't be too anxious and swing at real bad pitches. You defeat your own purpose then. 2-1 the count. Ground ball hit to the shortstop, Spire, and Carter grounds out to end the inning. So the Mets get no runs, had 2 hits, they left 1, and the score at the end of 1. The Cubs nothing, the Mets nothing. Now here's a word from Manufacturers Hanover.
Nothing ball game here at Shea. Top of the second, and the baseball action continues when the New York Mets host the Expos tomorrow night at 8 o'clock.
Number 10.
Right here on Channel 9. Montreal coming in for the first series of the year. Those first place Expos.
And now the batter for the Cubs, who are currently in 4th place. Leon Durham hitting .276, 6 home runs, 26 RBIs, and he too has been hot. He has hit in 11 of his last 12 ball games, and a strike call. Leon in this series 3 for 11. The Mets stopped his hitting streak in the first game of the series when Darling was on the mound pitching a no-hitter. I should say a no-runner. Mets winning 2-0 in the first game. 5-1 in the second game, and in the third game, 1-0. And a good breaking ball, and they count 1 ball and 2 strikes. Sid Fernandez working for the Mets. Sid struck out 2 in the first inning and left a runner at third base. Lopes had walked, stolen second, gone to third in the ground out. Curveball struck him out. 3 in a row for Sid Fernandez.
Boy, this is a nasty curveball right here. Look at the break on that ball. Leon Durham pulling that front side out of there. He had no chance, but even had he had it closed, that's a tough pitch to hit.
And it brings up Chris Spire. Spire hitting .212 with 2 home runs, 9 RBIs. Fastball for ball 1. Spire 2 for 9 in this series. Went to spring training without a job and was signed by the Cubs. Fastball popped up in foul territory. It'll be out of play. Got a second here to give you a note about a former Met. Grover Powell died the other day at the age of 44 from leukemia. Pitched a shutout for the Mets in his very first starting appearance down in Philadelphia. Comes from the Philadelphia area.
Saw Hernandez there trying to tuck that curveball, and that's what usually happens when you lead with the elbow. You don't really get on top of it. When that elbow follows the hand, then you have a chance to get the good break.
Fastball grounded in the hole. Tough play for Santana. He makes a fielding play, but has no chance to pick up the out at first base. So an infield base hit, the first for the Cubs. First base hit. Look at it again.
Good play by Rafi, but actually should have eaten this one. No play on him. He had too far to go and really not in a good position when he throws, but it was a fine play, but to no avail.
So Santana keeping the ball in the infield as Spire gets the infield base hit, and it brings up Steve Lake. Lake is 0 for 6 in this series. Batting .172 with 1 home run, 3 RBIs, and the fastball is missed.
Cubs lineup today, just like last night and the night before last, really night and day, as you got 5 tough hitters in the first 5 spots. Then only Chris Spire hitting over 200 in the last 4 spots. So you can't let the first 5 guys beat you. That's at least the approach you take. Not that these guys can't hit or anything, but they certainly don't swing the bat like those first 5 guys.
Talking about Lake, Jackson, and the pitcher. Also throwing in there Chris Spire. Spire, a veteran player. Lake, a backup catcher. Jackson brought up from the low minors. Cubs, like the Mets, really riddled by injuries this year.
Steve Lake in there because the #1 catcher, and a fine catcher he is, Jody Davis, down with the virus.
Spire, the runner at first base, 1 man out, no score in the game. And a fastball fouled off. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Jody Davis, strong hitting catcher, has 6 home runs, 32 runs batted in, hitting .262. And this crowd, another biggie.
Mets have drawn 133,000 for their first 3 games of this series, and that, of course, no surprise with the Cubs in town. Arch enemies of last year. Mets 6-12 against the Cubs last year, 1-8 at Wrigley Field.
Well, the poor days of the Cubs and Mets, they still had a lot of interest going between the 2 clubs, and that one fouled. Count stays at 1-2. Here's an interesting thing, Tim. It's hard to believe. In road day games, the Cubs are 1-18. In day games at Wrigley Field, and that's all they can play as you look at the foul ball, they are 20-9. And you would think the Cubs would be very good in day baseball games because they play all their home games and in the daytime.
Speaking of very good, that's what Dwight Gooden was last night.
And again, a foul ball, so the count will stay at 1-2.
Dwight Gooden with his 7th career shutout to run his record to 10-3. He leads the major leagues in strikeouts with 125 and an earned run average of 1.66.
Only pitcher in baseball under 200 in the ERA department. There goes the runner, and the ball is popped into center field. A chance for Mookie. He has it. Now Mookie throwing to first base, but Spire back in time.
Well, it's no secret that Mookie has had problems with that right throwing arm, and because of that, runners can take more liberties than normal. And Chris Spire was almost to second base and got back easily.
That time Mookie not playing that deep center field that he normally does, and he was able to catch up to that shallow fly ball. Now with 2 men away, the batter will be Darren Jackson. Jackson 1 for 6 in this series, getting his first major league base hit. Again, the runner going, and this ball fouled back out of play. So Spire in motion one more time.
Charlie Fox was the advanced scout and scouted the New York Mets, and he scouted Sid Fernandez up in Montreal, advanced scout for the Cubs. And he told me after the game up there, he said that Fernandez doesn't get rid of the ball. He takes his time when he gets rid of the ball. And I said, really? I wasn't going to give him any clues.
Hey, that's interesting.
Yeah, but the Cubs are really taking advantage of him today. They're going to be running, I believe.
And there's a fastball miss, strike 2. Of course, the one thing you can't do is steal a base if you're not on base.
Can't steal first, can you? But what you can do is when you're not going well, you take the aggressive approach. You don't sit back on your heels. If you're going to lose the ball game, you go down fighting. You don't go down whimpering.
2 strikes to count. Spire does not go, and the pitch is just outside. And ironically, the Cubs lead the National League in home runs with 51, and they are second in stolen bases with 79, second to the Cardinals.
I'd pitch out right here. I think Spire's going to be going.
I'll go along with that. 1-2 the count. He's running. Good jump. Pitch high. The throw down at second. Not in time. Second stolen base by the Cubs, and we're in the top of the second inning.
And the first stolen base for Chris Spire. He has a good jump. No need to look with 2 out, because if the guy puts a ball in play, you're going to be running anyway. You saw Spire look, but the throw is late. Kelvin Chapman taking the ball in front of the bag. What you like to see a second baseman or shortstop do is straddle the bag. You can't catch the ball out in front and bring it back faster than the ball's going to get there.
That takes time, and too much time. Now the curveball back, strike 3. So Jackson called out on strikes, and for the second consecutive inning, Sid Fernandez picks up a strikeout with a runner in scoring position. And the score at the end of 1.5, the Cubs nothing, the Mets nothing. Now here's a word from Nissan. Well, we're going now to the bottom of the second inning. No score in the game, and coming in for the play-by-play, Tim McCarver.
All right, Ralph, thank you very much. And the batters for the Mets in this inning, George Foster, John Christensen, and Ron Reynolds. Mets with 2 hits, and the Chicago Cubs with but 1. Mookie Wilson led off with a single, and then Steve Lake on a nice play threw him out at second. And that was a key play because after Kelvin Chapman struck out, Ray Knight doubled. Well, there is former President Richard Nixon. It looks like his daughter Julie there, does it not? That's not official, but it is official that it's Richard Nixon.
I got a couple of letters from the president.
Big baseball fan.
He really does follow the game well.
Fastball is outside to Foster. George batting .211, 8 home runs, 25 RBIs.
From Whittier, California. I got a letter from him talking about Archie Vaughn. They had gone to the same school together, and Archie Vaughn, a great shortstop for the Pittsburgh Pirates, probably one of the best hitting shortstops that ever played, and he's going into the Hall of Fame.
Ripped to left, and Lopes is there. What a bullet that was. Lopes looked like he had trouble with the sun. Man, that ball was hit hard.
It didn't hit too high. I'm amazed that he had this much trouble with it. It could have been a knuckleball going out there. Ball hit hard, and Lopes getting the glove on it. Of course, Lopes an infielder mainly in his major league career.
He's giving that sign to center fielder Darren Jackson, saying, man, that ball was hit hard. He felt like he was playing second then.
Right.
John Christensen, the batter, and he takes strike one. John batting 182. Has a couple of home runs, 7 RBIs over his last 7 ball games. Picked up a bit. Breaking ball is inside, 1-1.
John had his best series against the Philadelphia Phillies.
Had both his home runs against the Phillies and 5 RBIs there at the vet, but the Mets dropped 3 of 4 to Philadelphia. And they're trying to sweep the Cubs. Ray Fontenot, 1-2 on the year. Fastball and a beauty on the inside corner. That's an indication of what we were talking about, Ralph. If you can come inside to a right-hander when you're behind in the count, you got pretty good confidence in that fastball in. 2-2. 3-2.
Rube Walker, the pitching coach of the Mets when Gil Hodges was here, and also later on with Joe Torre, advocated that no left-hander could be a good left-hander and a winning pitcher unless he came inside with a fastball.
I totally concur. Popped up right side. First baseman Leon Durham in foul territory. 2 out. And look at the left-handers that Rube taught to do that. Jerry Koosman used to get a lot of strikeouts inside. John Matlack.
He broke more bats than any pitcher I've ever seen.
Matlack, boy, he was a nasty assignment, especially from the left side.
He jammed those right-hand batters, break those bats. Thought he was going to be an outstanding pitcher. Never quite realized the potential that everyone thought he had.
Chester, Pennsylvania star, and Ron Reynolds, 1-0 to Ron, batting .429, 3 for 7 in his 3rd start of the year. Base hit left field. That's going to be a double. So the second 2-out double in the first 2 innings for the Mets.
Right here, Reynolds gets out in front of a fastball and drills it right by Say, the third baseman. Reynolds coming up with the extra base hit.
First extra base hit of the year for Ron. And it is not that easy when you're playing once every 3 weeks. Go up there and spank a double in your first at bat. Here's Rafael Santana batting .245. Ball hit well to left field, but Davey Lopes makes the catch. No runs, a hit, and 1 stranded for the Mets after 2, no score. We'll be right back right after this word from the Bell Atlantic Yellow Pages. Top of the 3rd inning, no score. The batter Ray Fontenot to lead off against Sid Fernandez, and Ralph and I were talking between innings about a guy that helped me with my hitting, Ralph, in 1961, probably more than any other batting instructor that I ever had, and his name was George Crow. Big Daddy, we called him. He was the judge in those kangaroo courts in St. Louis.
He was a fine hitter and also became one of the outstanding pinch hitters. Cliff Robertson and Angie Dickinson star in the adventure drama Overboard tonight at 9 on the $1 Million Movie.
Fontenot looking for his first hit of the year. When I was sent down in 1961, I was called up the first time because Hal Smith, the regular catcher, had a heart attack. And I was sent back down to Charleston, West Virginia, and George Crow went with me from the big leagues. And I'll finish this story between pitches. There's a strike, 0-1. And Big Daddy said, you can't hit in the big leagues with an open stance. You got to swing that front side around and be ready for the fastball. 0-2 to Fontenot. And I did that, and in the process of going from an open stance to a closed stance, my average suffered, but I learned how to hit the fastball. And that was what gave me the trip to the big leagues to stay.
And you learned how to hit the fastball with authority.
That's right.
That's the name of the game.
0-2 to Ray Fontenot, no score in the 3rd.
There have been some outstanding hitters that have hit with an open stance. Archie Vaughan, the man I just mentioned to you, was a .380 batter in one season in the major leagues, but he was open and then swung in closed, and that was the answer. You made that movement to a closed position.
Gary Carter does that with the Mets. He's not drastically open. Remember, George Crowe used to wear his slippers out to the bench, and he'd wear sunglasses on glaring days in St. Louis. And I used to sit next to him just to feed off of that wealth of knowledge that he had, being only 19 years old. And Fontenot goes down on strikes. 5 strikeouts for Sid Fernandez.
Sid throwing a fine breaking ball here in the ball game. 4 of his 5 strikeouts have been on this curveball.
And one day Carlton Willie is pitching for the Milwaukee Braves, and George said, I'm going to pinch hit in 2 innings, and he's going to throw me a slider on the inside part, and I'm going to hit it out of here. So sure enough, 2 innings later, George is putting on his shoes and getting out of his house shoes. He goes up, gets a slider first pitch, and hits it 400 feet over the right field fence. And I said, this guy's a genius. This guy's the greatest hitter I've ever seen. Comes back in the dugout, takes his spikes off, puts his house shoes back on, puts his glasses on. Just relaxes. Nothing to it, right?
Just a day's work.
Just a day's work. I obviously was rather impressed. I said, George, it's not that easy, is it?
He probably said, sure it is.
2-0 to Davey Lopes. He walked and stole second his first time up. There's a strike. 2-1 to Davey. Davey, 39 years old, and you'd never know it. 25-year-old legs. 2-2.
When you look at Davey Lopes, you have to think about the Dodger infield of Garvey, Lopes at second base, Russell at shortstop, and Say at third. And the only one left of that infield, they played longer together than any infield in baseball history. Russell's the only one left.
Breaking ball misses. 3-2 to Davey Lopes. Fernandez has been sharp. Of the 7 outs he's recorded so far, 5 have been strikeouts. And he walks Davey Lopes for the 2nd time. So Lopes will be at first base. Look for him to run. And the batter, Ryan Sandberg, who grounded to short his first time up.
Well, you're playing with fire when you put Lopes on base.
Second baseman, Ryan Sandberg.
Not only has he stolen 507 bases, but he has an 83% ratio stealing second base and third base.
That was the best in baseball until Tim Raines came around. Of course,
Yep.
Raines hasn't played that long, but he's at 86%, all-time high.
Jammed him with a fastball, and Santana makes the catch. The interesting part about that pitch, Ralph, interesting thing, I should say, Fernandez did not take that high kick, and I think it surprised Sandberg and Lopes.
Got there a little faster than he figured.
Uh-huh. He didn't pick that right foot up as high as he usually does.
He got in his kitchen right here. He hits it off the trademark, pops it up. Second man out. Lopes at first base, and Keith Moreland the batter.
Keith struck out at the first time up with Davey Lopes at third and 1 out, something he rarely does. He leads the Cubs in sacrifice flies with 4 and RBIs with 35. Breaking ball inside, 1-0.
Chub Finney, the president of the National League, just dropped by. Haven't seen him out here very much. He's been busy. This is going to be a busy year for all the executives.
With the strike looming
Right
on the horizon. There goes Lopes. Fastball is a strike, but Davey Lopes has his 2nd consecutive stolen base.
Well, it's obvious that the Cubs are going to run every chance they get against Sid Fernandez. He does not have that good move, even though he's a left-hander, and Lopes with his head down with 2 men out, not even looking. It doesn't make any difference with 2 men out.
There's that straight-in slide, too. We were talking about Mookie Wilson may have been safe in the first inning had he slid straight in, but it's 1-1 to Keith Moreland. No score, 2 out, Lopes at second. Breaking ball is outside, 2-1.
Lopes now with 25 stolen bases in 27 attempts, and for the 3rd straight inning, the Cubs have a runner in scoring position.
Mets have also had runners in scoring position in their 2, but none have been plated. Cubs with 3 runs scored in their last 47 innings. That is a drought. Two and 2 to Keith Moreland. He didn't like that call from Joe West.
Well, that big sweeping curve that Fernandez has sets up a fastball like this. Ball looked like it was a strike.
2-2, 2 out. Runner at second, no score. There goes Lopes. Curveball grounded. Base hit right field. Keith Moreland, as we indicated in his first at bat with 2 strikes, loves to go to left field. And the Cubs lead it 1-0.
Right field.
I beg your pardon, right field.
So the Cubs get a run. Their 4th in 47 innings on the breaking ball as Moreland hits it just by Carter. Of course, Carter normally a catcher, and Lopes scored. He would have scored anyway, even though he was running with a pitch.
Gary looked like he dove over that ball. Moreland at first with 2 out. Cubs lead it 1-0. Swing and a miss. Ron Say, he struck out on a 1-2 pitch that was called a breaking ball his first time up.
Cubs getting only their 2nd run in this 4-game series.
There goes Moreland. Fastball low and away. Out at second base, and Moreland's going to argue. And here comes Jimmy Fry.
Well, this is a close play, and the only way that the Mets could get the call would be that Moreland was tagged on the back on the sweep on the tag.
Doug Harvey has not gotten up from his knee yet. Now he's up. Never seen an umpire argue on one knee.
Maybe he's praying.
Praying that they'd leave. Huh?
Yeah, don't come out here. Well, let's look at the play. Throw is up the line a bit. Chapman taking the throw. Does he tag him on the back before he gets to the bag?
Didn't look like it.
Didn't look like it on that angle. Let's try this one. Right here, did he get him? Well, Santana, no, he did not get him.
He did not get him.
That's right.
But the Cubs do get a run on 1 hit, strand no one, and lead 1-0 after 2.5. From 1890 through 1957, New York City was blessed with 2 National League teams. One played its games in Brooklyn, and the other at Coogan's Bluff in Upper Manhattan. Many of you Mets fans have vivid memories of the Brooklyn Dodgers and Ebbets Field, and the Giants in the Polo Grounds, and the men that played the game. Names like Ott, Stengel, Terry, Hodges, Hubble, Reeser, Mays, and on and on and on. Well, the Mets and Manufacturers Hanover don't want you to forget those days, and will stage Nostalgia Night on Saturday, June 22nd at Shea Stadium. All fans attending the 7:35 game with the Expos will have a choice to make. You'll have your pick between a Brooklyn Dodgers cap or a New York Giants cap. There will be other surprises, too. So make it a point to get to Shea for Nostalgia Night. It's your choice as supplies last. A Brooklyn cap or a Giants cap. Saturday, June 22nd, the Mets and the Expos, 7:35. Well, bottom of the 3rd inning, the Mets trail 1-0, and Sid Fernandez takes a fastball for a ball, 1-0.
In that last promo about Nostalgia Night, there was a good shot of a player on the bench in a Brooklyn uniform. I wonder if you could identify him.
Ground ball to Chris Spire, and he throws out Fernandez, 1 away.
Well, here's the angle that shows that he did not get tagged by Chapman. He sweeps back at him, and Moreland is in on the bag, and no tag was made. But the umpire, Doug Harvey, said he was out. It was very close, and from the angle that we looked at in the beginning, it looked like he tagged him. But that's another one, and the umpires don't have all those angles.
He would have tagged him certainly with an outfielder's glove, right?
Bigger one, yeah.
First baseman's mitt. Mookie Wilson, the batter. Fly ball right field. Moreland back, should catch it, and he does. 2 out.
Here's Jimmy Fry's reaction on the call.
Now the second baseman.
And he went out to argue, but to no avail.
Is that enough to make him gag? Is that what he's saying?
Boy, he chews that gum, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. And then he'll switch to the tobacco. Calvin Chapman struck out his first time up. Cubs lead 1-0. They have 2 hits. The Mets with 3. One and 0 to Chapman. Chapman entered the game batting 173. 2-0. Make that 1-1.
Fontenot got Chapman with a 3-2 fastball his first time up.
There's a base hit right field. So for the 3rd time in 3 innings, the Mets have had hits with 2 out and nobody on. 4th hit of the game for New York.
Gets a fastball right here, goes with it. Slices it off into right field for the single.
That's good hitting there.
Brings up Ray Knight, who doubled.
Got to use all parts of the field, Ralph. How many pull hitters are there in the game today? Not too many.
Not many.
Dave Kingman, Richie Hebner come to mind. Swing and a miss by Ray Knight. 0-1 to Ray. He doubled his first time up, and there you have the story today.
One of the reasons why there are very few pull hitters, the philosophy of hitting that is taught by Charlie Lau and many of his disciples. Off the plate, inside-out swing. You cannot pull the ball that way.
My colleague does not concur with that brand of hitting, do you?
I do not. Well, one thing, it takes away the power hitting. And the name of the game is extra base hits and preferably home runs. Earl Weaver says the 3-run homer is the best play in the game.
Scratch the sacrifice. Fastball.
'57th error by the Cubs. And we'll look at it again. He gets over there, gets the ball in the glove, but then it rolls right out of it. Then he makes the drop kick. And the Mets have runners now at first and second on the air.
That ball was uncatchable. He couldn't come up with it. He had 3 tries. Couldn't even pick it up. Well, the Mets have runners at first and second. 2 out, and Gary Carter grounded to short his first time up. Fastball is low.
They're trying to pitch Carter down under the strike zone.
Well, Fontenot's really got to pitch down to be successful. He does not have that overpowering velocity to blow you away upstairs. Billy Connors to the right of your screen, the pitching coach for the Cubs. 2-0 to Carter. John Christensen behind Davy Johnson. Davy in that familiar pose. 3-0 to Carter, and he'll get the green light here.
That's with runners at first and second, trailing 1-0, 2 men away, bottom of the 3rd.
And Carter walks. Well, the better's going to be George Foster with 2 out and the bases loaded. Ralph, that 3-0 count to Carter, I can't help but think back when the Padres were in town. Lamar Hoyt pitching with the bases loaded, nobody out. 3-0 the count to Carter, and he hit into a 1-2-3 double play.
And the Padres went on to win the game. Now, Jim Fry going to the tobacco.
Not only that, Lamar Hoyt has won 6 in a row since then, and the Mets have had trouble scoring runs since then. An interesting parallel, a big pitch for both the Mets and Lamar Hoyt. Foster fouls it off, 0-1. Lamar Hoyt now 8-4, and since that game, that was a game that Hoyt shut the Mets out. They had bullpen action. right on that pitch. It was nobody out, bases loaded, 3-0 to Carter, and he grounded into the double play, and Hoyt shut him out 2-0. I'm sure the Padres may look back to that pitch after the season's over if they win it. And the Mets certainly if they don't win it. Ball hit well to right center field. Way back. This ball is out of here. Grand slam home run, George Foster. His 12th grand slam of his career.
Look at it again. A fastball out over the plate. It carries and carries and carries and goes over the 396 mark. Foster with his 12th Grand Slam home run. Only Dave Kingman has more of the active players. Kingman with 14. And that ball, a foul ball. All-time leader in the National League, Willie McCovey with 18. Lou Gehrig, the most of all, 23 Grand Slam home runs.
A very costly error by Chris Spire has opened up the dikes. 4-1 New York leads it. A grand slam homer by George Foster. This ball well hit. Way back. This ball is out of here. Home run. John Christensen. Wonder what Chris Spire is thinking right now. Christensen with a curtain call, his 3rd home run of the year. And the batter, Ron Reynolds, he doubled his first time up. 1-0.
Well, first Foster's grand slam. His last was off of Mark Calvert of San Francisco right here. That was in '83. And then the following home run by John Christensen.
Grounded towards Spire. And he makes the play, but it's too late. 5 runs, 3 hits, and probably the costliest error that the Cubs have made this year, and no one stranded. It's 5-1 New York after 3, and we'll be back after this word from Texaco. Brother.
Well, relive the most exciting moments in TV history with host Tony Randall in the encore presentation of television, Our Life and Times, Saturday afternoon at 5. Well, Foster with his 12th Grand Slam home run leads all National League active players in home runs. Kingman had 11, hit 3 last year in the American League. He has a total of 14. He leads the active players with total home runs in both leagues. And the Mets getting back-to-back home runs. That's unusual. Coming in now for the play-by-play, Steve Zabriskie.
Thanks a lot, Ralph. You guys had all the fun there in the 3rd. Ron Cey leads it off for the Cubs in the top of the 4th inning. And he rips one to left field on the first pitch from Sid Fernandez. Foster runs it down and will hold him to a single as it was so sharply hit. Only the 3rd hit for the Cubs.
Ron Cey put in the cleanup spot, sort of put in there as an inspiration. He comes up with a base hit.
Well, it's time to play Mets trivia as we do in the 4th as Leon Durham steps in. Do you know what Met retired with 999 base hits? 1 short of 1,000. Think about it before the end of the inning. We'll give you the answer. 1 out, nobody, or rather 1 on and nobody out for Durham, who struck out his first time up. Fernandez has struck out 5 through the first 3 innings. Fastball right in there. 1-1. Talking about back-to-back home runs, Ralph. The last time was September 30th of last year at Montreal, when Foster and Strawberry had back-to-back home runs for the Mets. Foul tipped into Reynolds' glove. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
The Mets have their 3rd Grand Slam home run of this season. Foster and Strawberry, and also Carter.
Just outside. 2-2. The Mets leading 5-1. Curveball grounded into right field, base hit. So slowly hit that Say is going to go to third, and John Christensen can do nothing about it, as the ball just rolled down into short right and died. So runners at first and third with nobody out. Well, here's the question again. The ex-Met who retired with 999 base hits.
I got to guess. I'd say Ed Kranepool.
It was Tommy Agee.
He was just in our booth here before the broadcast.
Tommy is here for the Dream Week celebration and awards, which will be tomorrow night here at Shea for all of those who participated in Dream Week this past February. Tommy with 999 career hits. And Chris Spire misses the high heater for strike 1. Spire had an infield base hit and stole his first base of the year in the 2nd inning. And the curveball drops a little low, 1-1.
The Cubs are going to go with Dunston at shortstop, the New York rookie with great talent, but he did not make the club. They had to send him back to the minors.
And they picked up Chris Spire, who's bounced around a little this season, and he skies this one to George Foster in left. The runner at third tags, and the Cubs get their 2nd run. An RBI sacrifice fly for Spire, his 10th RBI of the year, and it's 5-2 New York.
Foster wisely throwing to second base, as Leon Durham had tagged up on that play. If the throw had been toward home, Durham would have gone to second.
And that would, of course, given the Cubs another runner in scoring position. So the right play made by Foster. And here is Steve Lake, who flied to Mookie Wilson in shallow center field back in the 2nd. Breaking ball for ball 1. 1 out. 1 run is in. And 1 man on first as Larry Sorensen begins to warm up in the Cubs bullpen. Fouled off down the right field line. 1-1. Blake's been catching in the series because Jody Davis has a bug, some kind of a virus. Fouled right back at us. And believe it or not, our monitor didn't die. The ball hit right there. Hang in there, old monitor.
Well, that's a good set right there.
Is that ball still in here?
Never got in.
Oh, it bounced off. That's amazing. That thing's still working. That took a shot. Better
the monitor than us.
That's right. Better it than us. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Durham is running, and the pitch is fouled back again.
Well, it's certainly apparent if you've been watching that the Cubs are going to run every chance they get when they get a runner on base at first base and or second.
Sid Fernandez does not have a good move to first, and in addition to that takes a long time to get the ball to the plate, and he's throwing a great number of breaking balls on top of that. Durham has 3 stolen bases on the year. And he's running again, and he's picked off. Carter down to Santana, and they got him dead. That'll go as a caught stealing. 1-3-6.
Right here, Durham just taking off. He didn't even look at the pitcher. And a good relay on down to the shortstop Santana by Carter, playing first base.
You see Durham running on the inside of the line to try and get hit by the throw, but Carter correctly went to the ball and made the throw from in on the grass. That's fouled out of play, and the count remains 2-2. The Cubs have stolen 3 bases in 5 attempts so far in this game.
They run their total up to 82 stolen bases for the year, second to the Cardinals.
Breaking ball fouled off into the Chicago dugout. Still 2-2 with 2 out. Gary Woods will retrieve that one.
Normally you'd see a few surrenders towels thrown out there, but there's no levity going on in the Cub bench.
They are not loose. They've lost 8 games in a row. 3-2 now. Sid Fernandez picks up strikeout number 6 here in the 4th inning. But the Cubs had a run on a base hit and a sacrifice fly. It's 5-2 New York in the middle of the 4th. And now here's a word from Metropolitan Life. Some rather large cumulus clouds hanging around, but they don't appear to have too much moisture in them.
No, they're fair weather clouds, those cumulus. They're fun to fly into when you're flying an airplane.
Especially a small airplane.
Small one. Goodbye.
That's right. So long kidneys and stomach. 5-2, the Mets lead it here in the bottom of the 4th inning, and Rafael Santana, who flied out to left field his first time up, will lead it off. The Mets scored all 5 in the 3rd on a grand slam home run by George Foster, followed by a solo shot by John Christensen. And a slow tapper right in front of the mound. Fontenot hurries and just does get him at first base. The throw was into the runner, but Durham made a nice play.
Made a good play. I wonder if he was on the bag when he caught that ball.
I don't think so, personally.
Let's take a look at it. This is the neighborhood play. Just be in the neighborhood at first base, and they call you out. Well, he was. Joe Hodges, the foremost proponent of the neighborhood play. Don't think he ever caught a ball with his foot on the bag.
It's a good way to keep from getting stepped on. Sid Fernandez grounded to short back in the 2nd, or rather the 3rd, I should say, and he grounds this one foul.
Sid with 3 hits so far this year. He's a good hitting pitcher, but of course, when he's facing a left-hander, it's another ball game.
Foul away, 0-2. And strike 3. Fontenot picks up his 2nd strikeout. And there are 2 away here in the 4th inning. That was his first strikeout since the 1st inning. And the Mets have gone over the 1 million mark with this crowd of somewhere in excess of 30,000 here tonight. They only needed 2,000 to pass 1 million on the year, and it's the earliest home date in Mets history that they've gone over 1 million in home attendance.
And this will mark the biggest attendance for a 4-game series in the history of the New York Mets. They got over 40 here, I'd have to bet.
Really? I was going to say 35. But Mookie Wilson takes a strike. Mookie's 1 for 2. He had a single to right in the 1st and fly deep to right in the 3rd.
35,000 and your 5,000 passes.
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, of course, the National League officially only reports paid attendance, whereas the American League counts everyone who's in the park. So that's why there are 2 figures. There are the number in attendance and the number who paid to be here.
Turnstile count.
Right.
If they don't show up and they paid, they don't report that.
They don't get counted, right. In the American League, it's everything. Nice play by Sandberg. Will he get him? Yes, with a good stretch by Durham at the other end. So a nice defense by Chicago here in the 4th inning, and the Mets go 1-2-3. 5-2 New York, and we're back after this from Bud Light. Rookie Darren Jackson will lead it off for the Cubs here in the top of the 5th. A 5-2 New York lead. Jackson struck out looking his first time up. And he tries to bunt for a base hit and fouls it off, strike one. Steve Zabriskie along with Ralph Kiner and Tim McCarver coming to you from Shea Stadium. The final of a 4-game series, and the Mets have swept the first 3 behind outstanding pitching, and they lead here in the 5th 5-2. Fouled back again, and it's 0-2. And a pinch hitter out for Ray Fontenot already. It's Chico Walker, a switch hitter. Another young outfielder. The Cubs, of course, have had almost as many injury problems as have the Mets. Popped up, but drifting back out of play. Still 0-2.
Cubs have activated Gary Matthews, who was one of their stars of last year. Matthews now available for pinch hit duty as you look at the bullpen.
Larry Sorensen, it appears to be. Yep. Almost got away from Reynolds. 1 ball, 2 strikes. If the Cubs get into a game situation, I would imagine we would see Mr. Matthews. 2-2.
Jackson brought up the takeover for Bob Denier, who had a foot operation. He's on the DL. Denier, one of the spark plugs of the Cubs last year, coming over from the Phillies.
And you know they miss him offensively and defensively for that matter. This one may stay in play. Carter is near the fence. Right at the photographer's box. He makes the catch.
Well, Carter with a different angle playing first base. And it's not easy to make that change, and he handled that well. Checking out the sun right now. He goes over there, checks out the facade, and the ball coming right back into play right to him.
That's the way to do it. Find out where the barrier is first, and then pick up the ball again. And Carter not wearing the sunglasses. Here's Chico hitting 111, as you see. Hasn't had very many at bats. He's only been up 9 times. As a pinch hitter, he's 1 for 6. And a curveball, a little bit high, ball 1. So Fontenot leaves the game after pitching 4 innings. He's charged with 5 runs on 6 hits. He struck out 2, walked 1, and yielded 2 home runs. Swing and a miss. 1-1. And the high heater again, and it's 1 ball, 2 strikes. Fernandez has allowed 2 runs on 4 hits. He has struck out 6 and walked 2. On the outside corner, and the fastball punches him out of there. Strikeout number 7 for El Cid.
Well, we look at it on the replay. Fastball. Walker thought it was outside. Home plate umpire Joe West, a cowboy, punches him out.
The old cow puncher. So 2 out with nobody on, and here's the top of the order. Davey Lopes, who has walked twice and stolen a base each time to run his total to 25 on the year. I'll tell you what he has done for the Cubs at age 39 is nothing short of amazing.
What he has done for Davey Lopes at 39 is amazing.
That's for sure. Hitting .302, 5 home runs, and 23 RBIs. And that's a strike. 1-1. Davey hitting .338 over the last 28 ball games. Curveball, strike 2. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Fernandez strikes out 2 in retiring the side in order here in the 5th inning. He now has punched out 8 in the ball game. And in the middle of the 5th, it's 5-2 New York. Now here's a word from Garcia Vega. Oh, we want to remind you that Tom Hanks and Peter Scolari will star in the return of the hit TV comedy Bosom Buddies. That'll be weeknights at 7:30 right here on Channel 9. Don't miss it. And here's a guy who doesn't miss much. I don't know about Bosom Buddies, but when it comes to baseball, he doesn't miss much. Ralph Kiner.
Okay. Steve Zabriskie and a new pitcher in for the Cubs. Larry Sorensen. He has a record going of 1 win, 1 loss. No saves, making his 13th appearance, and he'll be pitching to Kelvin Chapman. Fontenot, in his first appearance against the Mets, went 4 innings, gave up 5 runs, all unearned, allowed 6 hits, struck out 2 and walked 1. So Sorensen takes over here in the bottom half of the 5th. Mets leading by a score of 5-2. He's walked 7, struck out 10, given up 21 hits in 17 innings. Earned run average of 4.67. Chapman 1 for 2 in today's ball game. Single to right field his last time up, and the first pitch a called strike. Chapman aboard on the grand slammer by George Foster. And the count 1 ball, 1 strike. Sorensen was at Oakland last year, won 6 and lost 13 with 1 save. Was in 21 game starts, had 2 complete games. Tries a slider and misses. 2-1. Sorensen was signed as a free agent at the beginning of the '85 season. Fastball popped up in the shallow left. It will drop in for a base hit. So Chapman jammed on a fastball, picks up a bloop base hit, and the Mets have a runner on with no one out in the bottom of the 5th inning.
Take him any way you can get him. Boy, that pitch was really up and out of the strike zone and almost ate him alive, but he got enough on it.
They all look like line drives in the box score. There's Ray Knight. Ray is 1 for 2, doubled in the first. Rounded into what should have been an out in the 3rd. Shortstop Chris Spire booted the ball. All hands were safe, and it set up 5 unearned runs. And a strike call by Cowboy Joe West. Ray came into this game hitting .151. Ray Knight has moved closer to the plate in his batting stance. Mets have not had much luck against the catcher Steve Lake, who has a very, very quick release. And stolen bases. This one lined to right field. Coming hard, the right fielder Moreland. He makes the play. Chapman back to first base. So a well hit ball by Knight turned into an out. Now the Mets have a runner at first base with 1 away, and Gary Carter the batter.
And give Keith Moreland credit. Had he been playing deeper, there would have been no way he would have been able to get to that ball. He played Knight perfectly.
Carter in this game has grounded out. He also was walked on 4 pitches. Batting .271. He has raised his average considerably in his last 10 ball games. And the fastball a strike.
Gary's hit in 9 of the last 10 and hit .459 over those 10 games.
17 base hits. Chapman the runner at first base, 1 away. Mets leading 5-2. Bottom half of the 5th inning. And Carter moved off the plate. Gary has had 2 game-winning RBIs in that 10 games of .459. He's hit 3 home runs, driven in 7, and has scored 8 runs. Raised his average from 231. Throw to Durham at first. Mets started their action tied for second with the Cardinals, a game and a half back of Montreal. Montreal a night game at home against the Pittsburgh Pirates. And the breaking ball inside. 2-1 the count. Cardinals got beat 1-0 last night by the Phillies, and Jerry Koosman was the winning pitcher. Had help from Carmen, but a fine job by Jerry. He's 41, isn't it?
Yep, and he and Tom Seaver used to be mainstays here, both having good years.
Runner goes. The pitch is foul.
Koosman, of course, struggled earlier in the year, and he's had some injury problems. Boy.
Is it worth it?
Worth a cracked skull to get a baseball? Some people would say yes, but not really.
Yeah, we're cowards up here.
You know, it's easy for us to get a baseball.
True.
We don't need one hit at us.
2-2 the count. Carter hits it sharply off the chest to Ronce. Picked up by Spire. The throw to second base is not in time. Looked like he gave the say sign. He is out. Now we got a two-handed call there by Doug Harvey on his knees once again. And Say got that one right in the chest.
That ball was smoked, and it short hop Say. Spire alertly picked it up and threw over. Chapman went in with a head-first slide. And it looked to me like he hit the ground hard and really slowed up. Had he slid feet first, I think he might have been safe on this play, because when he hit the ground, and you can see that he just is a little late, he almost stopped, and then his momentum eventually carried him into the bag.
Well, at least Ron Say has Chubb Feeney's autograph on his chest. Feeney, the National League president, signs all the balls that are used.
Well, not individually.
One at a time. He tells me that he does it after ball games.
No wonder the negotiations aren't getting anywhere.
That's why they can't meet.
Chubb's always signing baseball.
And Foster, the hero of this ball game, with a grand slam home run, takes in the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Foster hit a grand slammer over the right center field fence to put the Mets up 4-0. Christensen followed with another home run. Mets leading 5-2. And that one grounded foul. Foster now leads all National League active players in grand slam home runs with 12. And there's Sutcliffe, Rick Sutcliffe, who will have a birthday tomorrow. He will be 29.
And to his left, charting the pitches, Dennis Eckersley, who will pitch for the Cubs at St. Louis tomorrow.
Line drive base hit by George Foster. Carter going for third base. He slides and is safe. Foster going behind on down to second. So Foster with his second base hit. He lined out his first time up, and the Mets have runners at second and third.
Gary Carter pulls a little decoy here as Foster's ball is very sharply hit, and Lopes gets to it in a hurry. Carter sort of tried to decoy at second base a little bit, and it almost cost him making it to third. But the throw, as you saw, was a little bit into foul territory. And Lopes, although he throws the ball well, does not have the greatest arm in the world.
And he made a bad play there.
Yep,
Should
allowed
throw to
Foster
second
to go to second, but he thought he had a shot at Carter.
You got to stop that runner at first base, keep him out of scoring position, even if you think you can throw him out at third. Now the batter is John Christensen, and the first pitch, ball 1. John with his third home run over the left field fence back in the third inning. Fastball, the count 2 balls, no strikes. Christensen had been hitless in this series before his home run. Batting for the first time against Larry Sorensen. And this one is popped up. Davey Lopes with the glasses down trying to find the ball, and he does, and that retires the side. No runs, 2 hits, and 2 men left on base to score. At the end of 5, it's the Mets 5 and the Cubs 2. Now here's a word from Bush Beer. Going to the top of the 6th, the Mets leading 5-2 in the final meeting between the Mets and Cubs in this series. The Mets have won the first 3 ball games and lead here in the 4th. Big crowd on hand, having their great time here at Shea Stadium. The ubiquitous banners.
Not as many as were here on Banner Day.
I hope not. Nobody be able to see. And we've got a beautiful day for baseball.
And a rare weekday afternoon.
This is the way the game should be played.
Boy, there you go. Now you're talking, huh? A little catching a few rays there.
Used to be a lot of fun to go to the Polo Grounds and take a look at the talent in the bleachers in the Polo Grounds enjoying the sun.
They do that in Chicago all the time. Well, they don't enjoy the sun all the time, but they have an opportunity to with all those day games.
Ryan Sandberg, the batter. Ryan is 0 for 2 in this game, 3 for 14 in the series. He'll be followed by Keith Moreland and Ron Say. So Sid Fernandez with the strong hitters in the batting order here in the top of the 6th inning. And he misses with a fastball. Keith has struck out 7. He has walked 2. And he has given up 2 runs. Sandberg hits it out to left center field a long way back to the warning track. Mookie Wilson is there. He can't get it. It is off the base of the wall. Sandberg on to second base, and he holds there with a double. That is only the 5th extra base hit by the Cubs in their last 6 ball games.
And that's been one of their big problems as far as scoring runs are concerned. You see Mookie running out of room here, and I don't know whether he was bothered by the sun at all, but you can't protect yourself against the wall and make the catch at the same time very often. He had to check when he hit the warning track to see where the wall is and took his eye off the ball. Foster made a nice play to back up, or Sandberg could have been at third base or beyond.
And it brings up Keith Moreland. Moreland 1 for 2 in the game. Drove in a Cub run in the 3rd with a base hit to right field. And the fastball just out of the strike zone, ball 1. Moreland leads the club in base hits with 65, RBIs with 36. Former football player and former catcher. 2 balls, no strikes. Now Reynolds out to talk it over with his pitcher, Sid Fernandez.
Sid has only had 1 complete game in his previous 7 starts. Of course, I guess 1 out of 7 is not too bad if you could maintain that average throughout the year. But it's been tough for him to have, and I don't know whether it's been because he's gotten tired or lost his concentration or whatever, but even when he's been pitching well and hasn't had control problems, it's been tough for him to finish ball games.
2 balls, no strikes. And the fastball foul back out of play.
Moreland, throughout his career, has really been a nemesis for the Mets. Coming into this game, he has a .350 career batting average against New York.
Strong hitter. Good contact man. And the fastball is missed. The Mets have had 13 complete games this year. 9 of them have been shutouts.
And the complete game, Ralph, is becoming almost an ancient relic in this day and age of baseball.
Especially in the National League, where they don't have the DH. Fastball popped up. Mookie Wilson making the call, having trouble with the sun, and now Foster saves him. Foster at the last minute, seeing that Mookie had lost the ball, reaches up. Foster not looking into the sun and making the catch. Good play by George Foster.
Very, very alert play. George had a little better angle on it as opposed to Mookie, who was looking directly into the sun. George coming around, sort of circling the ball, And you'll see here, look, Mookie just pulls out of the way at the last minute. And Foster, coming from a different angle, cuts right in front of him, reaches out, and takes the ball.
So Foster saving Mookie Wilson with that play. Sandberg holding at second base. And they pick up an out on the dangerous Keith Moreland, and that brings up Ron Cey. Cey 1 for 2 in this game, singled the left field in the fourth. Later on scored. Fastball, a strike call.
Although Cey hasn't been hitting for average, and he hasn't, hitting only .218 coming into the game, he's 4th in the league in home runs with 12. He's had other years like that. Murphy, of course, of Atlanta leading with 16.
No pitch on the play. Time had been called. And it's a balk call by Doug Harvey, the second base umpire.
And Sid knew it, too. He went right down the mound to home plate umpire Joe West, whom you see there, and said to Joe, was it because I double pumped? Joe said yes, and that was it.
Second balk by Fernandez this season. And it puts a runner in scoring position.
See, he didn't come set. As he came down with both hands to the belt, he just sort of pumped both arms and went on with his delivery to the plate. And under the rules, you must come set.
Now back to Cey, a curveball. And it's out of the strike zone. 1 ball, 1 strike. Runner at second base, Ryne Sandberg. Make that third base, Ryne Sandberg. Cey last year hitting .240 with 25 home runs and 97 RBIs. And the curveball. Count goes to 2-1.
That balk rule, Ralph, actually says you have to come set for a full second, but nobody ever does.
One time they enforced that rule, and there were balks galore.
I shouldn't say nobody does, but not many pitchers do.
I think Bob Shaw holds the record for 5 balks in 1 inning. Fastball missed. So the count, 2 balls, 2 strikes, and Ron Cey. Cey has averaged approximately 22 home runs and 85 RBIs in his major league career. Two and 2 the count. Curveball, and the count goes to 3-2. Ron Cey made a comment, this is before last year when the Cubs had the winning season, that the Cubs have won more games in one city than any other team in baseball. It's only in the last 38 years that they've been lean.
Well, they played in one city longer than just about anybody.
Cincinnati the longest, and he got him with a fastball. 9th strikeout for Sid Fernandez. So
Sid
now,
showed him that breaking ball on the pitch previous to this, and then comes back right on the outside part of the plate, and it was too close for Cey to take, and he missed it. Good pitch.
that brings up Leon Durham. Durham has struck out and singled. And the fastball a strike. Time is called. Ray Knight walking in on the infield grass to have something to say.
I think there was something in the dugout that might have been shining or something that was bothering him.
Durham has hit in 12 of his last 13 ball games. He's been a hot batter. There's a good fastball there, and the count goes to strike 2. Durham with 6 home runs, 26 runs batted in for the year. Fernandez being cheered on by the crowd. They're looking for that 10th strikeout. Last night's ball game, Dwight Gooden had 9 strikeouts. Fastball struck him out. Strikeout number 10. And again, the Cubs leave a runner in scoring position with one man out. In the inning, no runs, one hit, one man left at third, and the score at the end of 5.5 innings. The Mets 5 and the Cubs 2. Now here's a word from Burger King. While we're going out of the bottom of the 6th inning, the Mets up, leading 5-2. And for the Mets, it'll be Ron Reynolds as the leadoff batter. Reynolds with a double and 2 times up. Mets 5 runs on 8 hits. The Cubs have 2 runs on 5. And Larry Sorensen starts off with a curveball, gets a strike. Sorensen in relief of Ray Fontenot, who worked 4 innings. Sorensen working his 2nd. Another breaking ball, but this one out of the strike zone. 1 ball, 1 strike. Sorensen with a record of 1 win and 1 loss last year with the Oakland Ball Club, and that one by Say at third base. And Reynolds has his 2nd hit of the ball game. Lopes gets it back in, and the Mets have a runner on with no one out.
Ron Reynolds' ball had a lot of overspin on it and squirted in there. Well, here's what's happening in the National League. The Giants will be at San Diego later. Pittsburgh at Montreal, those first place Expos tonight. Houston at Atlanta. Philadelphia at St. Louis. This is the only day game. That San Francisco-San Diego game, I guess, is a day game, but it's, of course, not started yet.
Now the batter Santana, and he moves into bunting position. As you look down, you see not the pitcher on deck, but Rusty Staub. So that's the reason why the bunt was in order there. Mets leading 5-2. We're in the bottom half of the 6th inning. Santana takes, and it's a strike call. They count 1 ball, 1 strike. Raphael 0 for 2 in this game. And it's bunted back foul, so the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes.
What's that song? Little things mean a lot. That's really the way you have to look at being able to get down a bunt when the situation calls for it.
Move that runner up into the scoring position. Runner goes, and the ball punched in the right center field. It'll be a base hit. No, it won't. A great play by Moreland, and the throw to first base is not in time. So Moreland took it away as he came into right center field with a runner going on the pitch. And Santana's out.
Well, Keith used to run down ball carriers when he was a defensive back at the University of Texas, and boy, he ran this one down. A dying shot that he just got before it hit the ground. The base runner, Reynolds, was already 3/4 of the way to second base and really had to scamper back. And here's Rusty.
Rusty hitting .250 with no home runs and 2 RBIs. And there is Dykstra in the on-deck circle with the right-hand pitcher in the ball game. Rusty has a pinch hitter this year with 2 runs batted in, 4 hits and 17 at-bats. And he hits it into left center field. Coming over is Davey Lopes, also there, the center fielder, Darren Jackson, but Lopes reaches up and makes the catch. Once again, Reynolds back to first base.
Well, this is a very near collision here. As you see, Darren Jackson did not see Lopes at all. He was ready to catch the ball. Davey took it right away from him.
So Dykstra, the bat in place of Mookie Wilson, who was 1 for 3 in today's game. Dykstra in last night's ball game was 0 for 3 with a walk. hitting at .313 for the Mets. He has 1 home run, 3 runs batted in. He's had 5 hits at 16 times up in the majors. And this one grounded out to the shortstop, Chris Spire, who has it to throw to second base for the force play. And that ends the inning. No runs, 1 hit, 1 man left. And the score at the end of 6 here at Shea Stadium, the Mets 5 and the Cubs 2. Now here's a word from Express Mail.
Well, we invite you not to miss the action with the return of Angie Dickinson in Policewoman. Weeknights at 6 right here on Channel 9. New pitcher in the ball game, and it is Roger McDowell. Also in the ball game, Len Dykstra playing center field for Mookie Wilson after Dykstra pinch hit for him, making the last out of the inning. And here is Roger making his return. 5-1 on the year with a 2.62 ERA. His 18th appearance. He's picked up 3 saves. He's worked 44 2/3 innings, walked 13, struck out 29. And Roger greeted with a well-deserved nice hand. Coming in relief of Sid Fernandez as we go to the 7th inning. And coming in relief of Ralph Kiner in the booth is Tim McCarver.
All right, Steve, thank you very much. I, like you, just received one of the thrills of my life, sitting and chatting with President Nixon.
He is some kind of fan, isn't
Oh,
he?
man. Loves the game. And the batter for the Chicago Cubs to lead it off here in the 7th inning with the Mets up 5-2. Chris Spire. Whoa, what a performance by Fernandez today. Striking out 10, his career high. Prior to that, he had struck out 9 Phillies in his first performance this year. Roger McDowell high with the first pitch, and you'll wonder if that may be a problem with Roger since he hasn't pitched in some 3 weeks. Tap toward third. Tough play for Knight, and that's why he let it roll foul. 1-1.
Excellent judgment.
Yes, sir.
Fernandez, incidentally, not only struck out his career high of 10, he did it in 6 innings. Here's Ray. He knows he has no chance, so it's his only play, and it is the proper one under the circumstances.
It has been 13 days since Roger McDowell has been out there. He hurt his ankle on the 7th of June against the Cardinals, picking up a no decision. That inevitable bubble that he blows while he pitches. I've seen before, after, and all that, but he does it while he's pitching. Maybe that's a distraction to the hitter.
I don't know. Might be.
Not nearly as much as that sinker, though.
That's a major distraction.
2-1. Well, this one way out of the strike zone, so 3-1, and understandably McDowell a little shaky here in his first outing in a couple of weeks.
Well, I think it's a good move on the part of Davy Johnson to go to him in this situation rather than wait until the game is on the line to bring him in and let him get his rhythm back.
That's true.
Got a 3-run lead. Sid's pitched great, thrown a lot of pitches as he always does. And Sid has shown a propensity to tire a little bit, and it is a warm day, so this is a good opportunity to get McDowell back in there and see how he's doing.
Fly ball to center field. Dykstra back. Nice play. Len Dykstra makes a nice play on Chris Spire, who is really swinging the bat well.
That ball carried a lot more than Lenny thought it was going to. He had to turn on the afterburners about halfway there, but he had plenty of room as he catches it just before he gets to the warning track. And he has shown in his brief couple of stints here in the big leagues that he can go get the ball in the outfield.
And the batter is going to be Steve Lake, the catcher for the Cubs. Steve 0 for 2 and looking for his first hit against the Mets. He's 0 for 8 this year. Mets trying to sweep the Cubs. They've won 3 and 5-2 leaders in this game. 0-1. Grounded right side. Chapman throws out Lake. Good play by Kelvin Chapman, and they're 2 away with the batter Darren Jackson.
Well, here's a schedule in the American League. Everything is at night. Well, that was a quick look at it, wasn't it? Oh, there it is again.
Night flies when you're having fun, right?
Yankees will be in Detroit. Boston will be at Toronto. That's a big game. California at Cleveland. Oakland at Chicago. Minnesota at Kansas City and Seattle at Texas. Ought to be one more game there. That's it.
Only game scheduled in the American League today. Slider to Darren Jackson's a strike, the first slider that Roger has thrown.
Well, remember when there weren't hardly any games on Thursdays or Mondays for that matter.
Played a doubleheader on Sunday, and Monday was off.
Thursday and Monday were travel days. The jet airplane changed that.
And that's true. Thad Bosley will be the pinch hitter for Larry Sorensen. Should Jackson get on? It's 1-1 to Darren. 1-2. Walt Brewstar, or I should say Warren Brewstar, warming up. I should have said it. Why didn't I say it?
You can't be everywhere.
That's true. Well, strike 3 on a disputed call by Jackson. First strikeout for McDowell as the Cubs go in order. McDowell has now pitched 28 innings, 28 and a third, and allowed only 1 earned run. Go to the bottom of the 7th with the Mets leading 5-2. Now here's a word from Garcia Vega.
During every televised game through the month of July, a winning fan will be announced and awarded a box of Garcia Vega cigars, 2 seats to a Mets home game, a Mets Garcia Vega lighter, and an autographed baseball. To enter, send in the Garcia Vega Grand Slam entry blanks available where you buy cigars, or send us a postcard with your name, address, and phone number. Just send them to Grand Slam, Shea Stadium, Flushing, New York, 11368. Entrants must be 18 or older and cannot be employees of the Mets, General Cigar, its agency, or WRTV.
Well, Manufacturers Hanover Trust and the Mets will sponsor a pair of very exciting special events this weekend. And that, of course, is Saturday night, when it is Nostalgia Night on Saturday. All fans will have their choice as supplies last, a choice between a Brooklyn Dodgers or a New York Giants cap. And there will also be some very special guests on hand for introductions before the game. And it all gets underway at 7 o'clock Sunday afternoon. It's Helmet Day, and all youngsters 15 and under who attend the 1:35 game on Sunday with Montreal will receive a special blue and white helmet that was such a big success last year. That's 2 big special events this weekend. Nostalgia Night on Saturday, Helmet Day on Sunday afternoon, the Mets and the first place Montreal Expos.
All right. Big weekend series with the Montreal Expos coming up. A couple of big giveaway days. Should be a fun weekend at Shea. And Kelvin Chapman will lead it off here in the 7th, facing Larry Sorensen. And a fastball is high, 1-0 to Kelvin. Kelvin's had a good day. He's 2 for 3 with a run scored. Fly ball left field and playable. Lopes, the glass is down. 1 away here in the 7th inning, and the batter Ray Knight.
Did you say Lopes back on
Lopes. Sloping left field. Don't get started on that.
Why not?
All right, okay. Ray Knight's hit the ball well 3 times. Does have 1 hit. And the key play in this game with 2 out and Chapman on first, we'll tell you about it. Slider is a strike to Ray Knight. 2 out, Chapman on first base in the 3rd inning. Ray Knight hit a ball to the left of shortstop Chris Spire, and he booted it. And after Carter walked, George Foster hit his 12th career grand slammer. Christensen followed with a solo homer, and that's it, 5-2. Another one hit well by Knight. He's hit a hard 1 for 4 today, and 2 out, and Gary Carter the batter.
Ray's lined out his last 2 times up.
Carter 0 for 2 on the afternoon. Giving Keith Hernandez a rest. Hernandez has played in all 62 games that the Mets have played so far. Second start for Gary Carter at first base. And he fouls it back.
Well, a win here today by the Mets would pull them a half a game up temporarily on Montreal to 1 game in back of the Expos, who play tonight at home against Pittsburgh. And, of course, a loss by Montreal. As you look at Keith in the dugout next to Ron Darling. A loss by the Expos tonight would mean the Mets would only be 1/2 game behind when the Expos come to town tomorrow night.
Another one fouled away. 0-2 to Gary Carter. It's a funny game, isn't it? Joe Garagiola coined that phrase. Baseball's a funny game. The Mets could do nothing right in Montreal last weekend. Then the last place Pirates going to Montreal. They've beaten them 2 of 3. And they have Jose De Leon going, I believe, tonight.
Hard luck, Jose.
Yeah.
Everybody wants him, but he's won, what, 1 game? 3 games?
Slider gets Carter, right? First strikeout for Sorensen as the Mets go in order here in the 7th. And after 7, it's 5-2, New York. We'll go into the 8th right after this word from Busch Beer. Top of the 8th inning. Steve-O, what you got for us, pal?
Well, if I can fight over the strains of the Curly Shuffle, I'll tell you that weeknights at 8:30, Wayne Rogers and Lynn Redgrave will star in the comedy hit House Calls. That immediately follows News 9 prime time at 8 o'clock right here on Channel 9.
And we'd like to correct something we said last inning that I said. When you make a mistake, it's we.
That's correct. I'm in here with you all the way, guy.
Rick Rhoden is starting for Pittsburgh against Montreal's Dan Schatzhitter tonight, and not Jose De Leon, as De Leon lost his 9th game last night against 2 wins.
2-9. We had his wins surrounded there.
Thad Bosley, the pinch hitter for pitcher Larry Sorensen, and he whiffs at the first fastball. Warren Brewstar warming for the Chicago Cubs. Bosley batting .210 on the year, no home runs, 4 RBIs. Line drive right at Chapman. He hit it hard, but Chapman was there. 1 out. And Davey Lopes, the batter. Davey has walked twice, stolen 2 bases, and struck out. He's 0 for 1. There's that bubble, the inevitable bubble from Roger McDowell. And Lopes grounds out to second. 3 pitches, 2 outs here in the 8th inning.
That's the kind of relief work a manager likes to see.
McDowell has retired 5 in a row since coming in relief of Sid Fernandez, who struck out 10, walked 2, and gave up 5 hits. Sandberg 1 for 3. He doubled in the 6th inning.
Boy, at this time last year, Sandberg's name was all over the National League offensive statistical categories. And you can't find him hardly at all this year. The only place he shows up is tied for 6th in stolen bases with 19.
There's a strike. 0-2 to Ryan Sandberg. All he did last year, he was 3rd in slugging percentage, 331 total bases, 1 behind Dale Murphy, 4th in batting average with a .314 average, 2nd in total hits, led the league in runs with 114. I'd say he deserved the MVP.
I think so.
Lines this one, fair ball. It's going to be at least a double, and it was touched by a fan, so it's in effect a ground rule double, even though it didn't bounce over the fence. So Sandberg's at second, and with 2 out, Keith Moreland will be the batter.
These guys are saying they didn't get the ball, but obviously stuck the net down there. This ball just inside the line, and it might have gotten stuck right underneath the stands. You see right away Christensen pointing to it. There it is, right in the corner of the screen. So
those guys in the wrong town if they're looking for Steve Trout. He's in Chicago. Steve
well,
Trout,
they do have Steve Lake here.
That's true. This is true.
Did you have fun with that?
Slider outside. Oh, yeah. Those are always fun.
When Lake and Trout were in there together.
Lake and Trout ran a lot of deep counts.
Threw in the hook.
A lot of hooks. Can't go fishing for the breaking ball in the dirt. Those are wonderful. There's a strike. 1-1 to Keith Moreland, who is 1 for 3 on the afternoon. Five to 2, New York leads. Mets have 9 hits. The Cubs now with 6. Sandberg at second, 2 out. Top of the 8th inning. Grounded, foul down the third base line. 1-2.
Yeah, if you can't catch it, knock it down. Total of 39,016 in the house today and 37,203 paid. So the Mets total for the year now 1,035,729. And the total for this series, the 4 games, paid 172,292. That's the biggest drawing home series in Mets history.
Man, stacking them up. Line drive, base hit, right center field. Sandberg will score. It's now a 5-3 ball game, and Keith Moreland once again with 2 strikes, going the other way.
And going the other way successfully. Moreland just continues to eat up the Mets pitching throughout his career. He picks up his 2nd RBI base hit to right field in this game, and they both came with 2 strikes. If Chapman were an inch taller, he might have had that in the webbing of his glove. But Moreland just does it more often than not.
Now Mel Stottlemyre out to talk to Roger McDowell. He's gotten a couple of balls up. A couple of opposite field rockets, one by Sandberg and the other by Keith Moreland. That means Ron Cey is the tying run. He represents the tying run. He's 1 for 3. He's twice K'd. And he singled and scored a run. Jesse Orosco warming for the Mets. Cey with 12 home runs. He leads the Cubs in that department. Swing and a miss at a sinker. You're wondering how many home runs McDowell has given up. He gave up a home run to George Hendrick, a solo shot back on the 28th of April. 1-1 to Cey. I'm forever blowing bubbles, huh?
I didn't see the ones he blows while he's shagging in the outfield while he's running full speed for the ball. I don't know how in the world he does it. He does it without thinking, obviously.
Jam Cey gets a piece of it. 1-2 to Ron Cey. That's the difference between a guy like Cey and a guy like Keith Moreland. Moreland will give himself up and go the other way with 2 strikes, become a defensive hitter. Cey rarely changes. He's still up there hacking for that home run. And that's what the Cubs need to tie it. Pops this one up. Foster broke back. Santana, tough play. And he makes it. Good play, Rafael Santana. Had George Foster not broken back, he would have made the play. But now it's up to Rafi.
And it's a much tougher play, obviously, for the shortstop going back on a ball hit out in the medium left field.
1 run, 2 hits, 1 stranded. And we go into the bottom of the 8th inning with the score 5-3 New York. And now here's a word from Nissan.
Well, we talked a little bit about Roger McDowell and his bubble blowing. Watch here as he's delivering the pitch to Ron Cey. See the bubble?
Kind of like Alfred E. Newman. What, me worry?
What? Hey.
There he is.
Out of Cincinnati, Ohio. If they ever have another bubble gum blowing contest, we got to enter Roger.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's had a lot of practice. Guy out of Napa, California is now the pitcher for the Cubs, Warren Brewstar. He's 1-1, a 4.84 ERA, a 17th ball game this year. Walked 14 and struck out 9, Steve.
And George Foster will be the first batter to face him. George with the grand slam home run back in the 3rd inning. It came with 2 out after Chris Spire's error. Foster's 12th career grand slam. 5-3, the Mets lead it, bottom of the 8th inning. George, as usual, taking his time. Oh, 2 now as Bud Harrelson retrieves it. Buddy will be involved in that honoring of the Dream Week participants tomorrow night, as he was one of the coaches. In fact, his club won the championship against the club that was coached by Wayne Garrett and myself, as Foster struck out of there.
You mentioned Foster's 12 grand slammers. He is the leading grand slam hitter in the National League. Dave Kingman has 14, but 3 were last year with the Oakland A's.
So that one is what moved George into the first place in the National League.
That's right.
Among
active players, correct.
John Christensen, who homered, takes a strike. Christensen 1 for 3. He's popped out in foul territory to Durham and flying to shallow left. On the left of your screen, the left-hander Tom Gorman and Doug Sisk, the right-hander. 1 ball, 1 strike. That's too high, and it's 2-1. President Nixon, who is here today, is following the career of John Christensen very closely, since they are from the same part of the country. John went to Fullerton, and that's right near where President Nixon was born, in Yorba Linda, California. Line drive right back up the middle. Second hit for Christensen, first hit off Brewstar. And for the Mets,
Catcher, Ron.
their 10th hit in the game. And Ron Reynolds has 2 of those.
Well, you got the bottom part of the lineup. I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see Davey Johnson put Christensen in motion. You can afford to take more chances when you're up by more than 1 in the late innings. You have the bottom part of the order, and if Reynolds can find a hole with a ground ball, then you have Christensen on third base.
And a strike called. Christensen has 1 stolen base and better than average speed.
All right.
Right out of your home state. How about that?
Yeah, that's not my license plate.
It could be.
It could be. I don't live in Memphis anymore, but it could be. Tennessee Mets place.
You don't see that very
Not
often.
too often, no.
Most of those people down there are Cardinal fans, aren't they?
That's true. In Memphis, yeah, 290 miles south of St. Louis. Both cities on the Mississippi River.
Big cut, no contact. Ron Reynolds in there for Gary Carter, who's playing first base. Ronnie with a double and a single in 3 trips. 1 out, Christensen at first. And it's 2-2. Brewstar, the 3rd Chicago pitcher. Sorensen pitched 3 innings, allowed no runs, 3 hits, struck out 1 and walked none. In the dirt. Think Warren knows anything about wine, being from the Napa region?
Oh, yeah, Napa. The city of Napa, as opposed to the valley. It's the gateway to the Napa Valley. Little tiny town. I think it's located in Rutherford County, I believe. Grape country. That's great country, too.
Great grapes.
Yes, sir.
And Christensen's going. The pitch is swung on and missed. And the throw is in time. So a strikeout, throw out, double play as Lake gets rid of the ball very quickly, and Christensen's caught stealing. The Mets are 0 for 2.
Steve, Lake is very efficient behind the plate. Look at that quick throw on a tough play, and a nice tag by Ryan Sandberg. Good throw by Lake. Very impressive arm that young man has.
2 strikeouts in the inning for Warren Brewstar. And it's still 5-3 New York at the end of 8 innings. Here's a word from Manufacturers Hanover. 9th inning baseball here at Jay. Final of a 4-game set with the Cubs, and Bobby Darin's Splish Splash entertaining the crowd of 37,000 on hand from 1958. We had that one surrounded too. You said 57, I said 59.
Yep.
Well, it's a normal day game for us. We're just a little bit off.
Got to hang with them. I'll be splishing and splashing in about an hour and a half. It won't be in a bathtub.
I was going to say. Some will catch the floor. Outside of first foul, flagged down by Carter. Durham is 1 for 3. He has a single to right, and on either side of that, he has struck out swinging. Roger McDowell working his 3rd inning in relief of Sid Fernandez. And the Mets lead it 5-3.
Ralph Kiner and I are going to a very interesting dinner tonight, honoring Peter Uberoth, and also in honor of the 11 Olympic Israeli athletes that were killed in the 1972 Olympics. Being held at a hotel here in the city. Should be a lot of fun. Howard Cosell will be the MC. It's for the Hebrew University in Tel Aviv, I guess. Tel Aviv, certainly in Israel. I would imagine Tel Aviv.
It should be a great affair. Popped up into left center. Foster coming in and calling. And he makes the catch. 1 away. So McDowell, who was touched for a run in the 8th inning on a double and an RBI single by Keith Moreland, gets the first out here. And this copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the New York Mets and WOR-TV. It is intended solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience in any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the New York Mets, and WOR-TV is prohibited. 1 out and nobody on in the 9th for Chris Spire, who pops it back out of play. Spire's 1 for 2. He had a single, an infield single, and a stolen base in the 2nd. He drove in a run with a sacrifice fly to left in the 4th, and he fly deep to center field in the 7th inning when Lenny Dykstra made a nice catch. And there's Richie Hebner, the hacker, on deck.
And back at you tomorrow night, 8 o'clock game time, New York time, of course. First game of a 3-game series against the Montreal Expos, who are in first place.
1-1 to Spire.
7:35 game time on Saturday. We'll be on the air at 7:30, and then a 1:35 contest. And the Mets hit the road for Chicago and St. Louis.
So big 3-game weekend series with the first place Expos to close out the homestand. There's a base hit into the gap in left center. Dykstra over, Foster over, and neither of them cut the ball off. Spire in at second base with a double with 1 out here in the 9th inning, and the Mets holding on to a 2-run lead. Spire and Gary Carter, former teammates, talking about it.
McDowell got this ball up a little bit, and then it stayed down. Dykstra trying to get it. George can't come up with it. And it's going to be a double for Chris Spire, and he has really swung the bat well. He's 2 for 3 on the afternoon and been hitting the ball very well. And now you got a problem. McDowell, to be successful, has to throw the ball down, and you got a dead low ball hitter here.
One of the best around, boy. You give him a pitch in his area, and he rarely misses it.
I would be guarding the line right now. Carter's off the line. Hebner, pull hitter.
And that's outside. No, it caught the corner. Richie's not thrilled. Hebner hitting .256. He is 6 for 20 with 5 RBIs as a pinch hitter.
Hebner thought it was outside, and he may have had a point.
But McDowell got the call. There's one down and in, but too low.
You flirt with him in that area, and I'll guarantee you, I was a teammate of Richie's for 2 years. As we look at Jody Davis, who is on deck, and also played against him. And boy, he is a devastating low ball hitter.
You almost can't throw it too low. I've seen him hit balls off his shoe tops out of the park. Spire at second with 1 out. Hebner the tying run for the Cubs. Fouled off at home plate. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
I mean, Richie's a hockey player and a grave digger. How can he hit a ball above the waist?
That's right.
Unless you're a grave digger in Louisiana, down there they're 5 feet above the ground, right?
That's right. But then they build them. They don't.
So I
dig
guess
them.
it's safe to say that grave diggers from Louisiana are high ball hitters, and any place else they're low ball hitters, right?
Especially from way up in New England, where Richie's from. You saw Jesse Orozco in the Mets bullpen, and Davey Johnson in the dugout. Top of the 9th inning, the Mets lead at 5-3. 1-2 on Hebner. Two and 2. And who else would you expect to see in the Chicago bullpen than Big Lee Smith? Two and 2 to the Hacker. Ripped down the line and off Carter, but a foul ball.
See, Davey Johnson had moved Gary Carter over to guard the line after the second pitch to Hebner, and it's a good thing. Hebner is a pull hitter. See, he's shaking his head. He's acknowledging that right now. Let's staying on top of things, Gary.
Gary only played first base 20-some times last year, the most ever in his career. This is only the 2nd time this year that he's been there. You can see he's also deep in addition to near the line. Still 2 and 2, 1 out. And a fly ball lofted to short left. Foster comes in. Santana back. Who's got it? George Foster makes the catch. 2 away.
Well, what should have been an easy play becomes an exciting play, doesn't it, George? Santana back. Now he gets out of the way, but he runs right into the direction that the ball's going. You're going to get out of the way. Get out of the way the other way.
The safest way is to run back toward the infield.
Yeah, but sometimes it's tough to stop and then get your momentum back.
Here's Jody Davis to pinch hit. And Gary Matthews is on deck. Davis pinch hitting for Darren Jackson.
Matthews just activated today.
And Jody, remember, has been under the weather with some kind of a virus or a flu bug. Davis hitting .262, 6 homers, 32 RBIs. This is his first official at bat as a pinch hitter this year. 2 out in the 9th.
Excuse me, Steve. He does have 6 home runs.
And he represents a tying run.
Last year he had 19, so he'd pop the ball out of the park.
Called strike 1. Roger McDowell trying to pick up his 4th save of the year and help Sid Fernandez to his 2nd victory. The Mets also looking to sweep 4 in a row from the Cubs. 1 strike to count. Ground ball to short. Santana has it. And the Mets sweep Chicago. The dugout empties as Roger McDowell returns triumphantly from his ankle injury to pick up his 4th save of the year. Sid Fernandez strikes out 10 Chicago Cubs in 6 innings of work to run his record to 2-4. The Mets have won 4 in a row. They are temporarily 1/2 game in back of first place Montreal as the Expos play tonight at home against Pittsburgh, and Jim Fry reacts with resignation to the sweep of his ball club by his former employers, the New York Mets. The Mets win at 5-3 in this afternoon's finale. Tim and I will be back to wrap it up. Kiner's Corner will follow. Stay with us here at Shea. The Mets win at 5-3 and sweep. Now here's a word from Busch Beer. The Mets have swept the Chicago Cubs with a 5-3 victory here this afternoon. And again, the Mets got good pitching. Sid Fernandez struck out 10 Cubs in his 6 innings of work to bring his record to 2-4. And Roger McDowell returned from his ankle injury to pick up the save, pitching the rest of the ball game and allowing only 1 run. And there was a big play in the ball game that at the time didn't seem like it, but shortly thereafter it became a huge play. And Timmy, that was Chris Spire's error, because at that point the Mets had not scored. And right after that, George Foster's grand slam made the difference in the ball game.
Kelvin Chapman led off I shouldn't say led off, but with 2 out, nobody on, he got a base hit, and then the error on Spire, and after a walk to Gary Carter, George Foster hit his 12th career grand slam, and John Christensen followed with what was a key home run also, because had he not hit the home run with 5-3 it would have been 4-3 in the 9th. And then, of course, Chris Spire at second base would have been the tying run. So it was a big home run by Christensen also. 2 big blows, 2 swings of the bat. But other than that, the Mets didn't hit the ball that well. Chicago really got pretty good pitching this whole homestand. The Mets won 2-0 Monday night, 5-1 on Tuesday, and then 1-0 last night on a brilliant performance by Dwight Gooden. But for the most part, the Cubs just are not hitting the baseball. And a lot of having to do with winning at the right time is catching teams at the right time. And the Mets were fortunate to catch the Chicago Cubs when they weren't hitting.
The Cubs have now lost 9 games in a row, and perhaps the missing Bob Dernier could be one of the big reasons, because what a catalyst he has been for Chicago in the past.
Bob Dernier is the Mookie Wilson of the Chicago Cubs. If Mookie gets on, the Mets win, generally speaking. And if Bob Dernier gets on, the Cubs win. And Bob Dernier on the DL with an injured foot. And the Cubs have really had their share of injuries, but so have the Mets. You got to cope with those things.
And the Cubs going to Ray Fontenot today, who has not started very many games for them. And of course, it was Fontenot who was the victim of the error and the grand slam home run, the following home run by Christensen. Sid Fernandez again in this ball game showed his flashes of greatness. And if he can ever put it all together, there's no telling what he can do.
He struck out 10 in 6 innings, walking only 2, and he gave up only 5 hits. He was very, very good this afternoon. Not like a Dwight Gooden last night, but almost. Gooden struck out 9 in 9 innings, and Sid struck out 10 in 6 innings. So what am I talking about?
As far as strikeouts are concerned, he was better. Well, anyway, that sets the stage for the big weekend series with Montreal. We'll have all 3 games for you right here on WOR beginning tomorrow night at 8. The Mets sweep the Cubs. They've won their 4th straight. The Cubs have lost their 9th in a row. It was 5-3 New York. Timmy?
All right, Steve, New York Mets baseball has been brought to you by Busch Beer, the beer with the taste as smooth as its taste. By Manufacturers Hanover, we realize your potential. By Nissan, who invite you to test drive the sizzling 300ZX Turbo, one of the world's great sports cars. The 300ZX, it's awesome. By Garcia Vega Cigars, you can relax and enjoy a cigar anytime. Garcia Vega, still an honest cigar. And by Burger King. Come on in and try the big beefy taste of Burger King's new Whopper sandwich. Be with us again tomorrow night, fans, at 8 p.m. when the Mets take on the Montreal Expos. Also, be sure to stay with us for Kiner's Corner. Our special guests today will be Sid Fernandez and George Foster. Mets Baseball 85 is produced by Bill Webb and Carl Shurkin. Directed by Bill Webb. Associate Directors Jeff Mitchell and Tom Schaffery. Technical Operations Manager Arthur Gress. Technical Director Robert Goodman. Promotional consideration was provided by True Value Hardware Stores and Home Centers, bringing the world beautiful music with the Sanyo Multiband Multi-Voltage Stereo Radio Cassette Recorder. Mets Baseball 85 is a production of Channel 9 Sports. Production facilities arranged through Vanda Communications. Also, the announcers on the preceding telecast were approved and contracted for by Doubleday Sports Incorporated. Good afternoon, everybody.